Hello, my good people of YouTube. I am here to present to you my findings on Survivor 49, the most recent season of Survivor. And that is because I simulated it 200 times so that I can objectively rank these contestants. Now, this ranking is not based off of my personal preference of the contestants, nor is it based off of the game that they played at all. It is simply based off of their own skills that I deemed based off an edited TV show. So, what is it that I'm doing? I am using the website Brandsteel. It's a fabulous website. I have it right here. This is what it looks like. It is where you can simulate seasons of reality television. And I simulated season 49 200 times in order to analyze the players and what placements they got in all of these 200 simulations. Why am I doing this? I've done this a few times for Big Brother. Big Brother is my true love. I do like Survivor, but I can't get into it as much as I can with Big Brother. But I wanted to branch out. I do like Survivor. And the Brandsteel Survivor Simulator is quite fun. So it just seemed natural to try out next. And I've always just found the question, like, how would this player play in 100 seasons of the show interesting when it came to, like, rating and ranking players? So this was kind of just my way of producing that itself and creating a ranking based off that alone. Now you might be asking, why 200 times? And that is because there's two different ways that I wanted to simulate it. First, I wanted to simulate it using the original tribes 100 times. And then I wanted to see what would happen if I did it 100 times with like randomizing the starting tribes each time. Because I do think that's something about Survivor, that there's a lot of luck involved of like what your starting tribe is. If you're put on a bad tribe, yeah, you're probably gonna go home earlier because only like 2 or 3 of those people make it past like the swap even. I think that's my biggest complaint about new era Survivor personally, is like I'm kind of sick of watching these like a singular tribe just eat it the first like couple weeks. I don't find that interesting anymore. So I think that's my biggest gripe. But anyway, I wanted to see if it would make a difference in anyone's game, and so that made this simulation a 200 version. Because I'm quirky like that. I almost thought about doing it more than 200 times, but sometimes I need to stop myself. But that's a topic for a different day. Now, just to get this out of the way early, these are the stats that I will be evaluating each player on a scale of 1 to 5. You do this when you set up a Brandsteel. They have like little profiles, and then you set up their stats. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing interesting, is because like the stats determine how good of a player they are and like how likely they are to win the simulation and yada yada yada. So I've evaluated each player based off of these attributes right here. There are 12 of them, so there's a lot. However, the website does state that forgiveness, boldness, influence, and intuition are all like beta features, and so they're actually not used in the simulation. And so I did fill them out just for funsies, but I don't think that they impacted the simulations at all. So I'm not really gonna go into those in depth. You'll just see what I put. Now, the other ones, we have some challenge stats. So you can evaluate the player based off of how good they are at physical challenges, endurance challenges, and mental challenges. They have stamina, which isn't used in Big Brother. The other ones are, but stamina is not used in Big Brother. And so I guess I view that as like how resilient they are, like how much energy they have. I don't know if I did this one fully correctly, if I'm being honest. But I think of it as like living off the land, you know? How good are they at surviving? You know. Then we have social skills. So how good are they at talking to people? We have temperament. And temperament, I don't really like how they like word it. So like if you have a bad temperament, they say like easily angered or like extreme rage. I do try to keep in mind with temperament just like how emotional they are. And so if I rank them like a 2 in temperament, it's not necessarily because I think they're angry, but more that I think they're emotional, if that makes sense. I do kind of play that in with temperament from time to time. And then we have strategic ability, so just how good they are at strategy, and loyalty level. So those are going to be the main ones that the simulator is keeping in mind. And these are all just based off of my opinions. And my opinions are based off of a edited TV show. This isn't like Big Brother where I have footage of them not editing this stuff. So some of this stuff I think you had to take with a grain of salt, you know? And I think with Survivor especially too, they don't always necessarily tell the story of the season. Sometimes they tell the story of the winner. And so I do think, I try to keep in mind that like Savannah and her allies are the main characters, you know? So I'm gonna be seeing more of their like positive attributes than like people who aren't on Savannah's side. So I do think that that kind of influences how the stats go. And I think that's important to keep in mind because at the end of the day, I don't know how these players actually played in the game. I didn't do that type of research. I just watched the show. So if you disagree with something, don't get too mad at me, okay? I'm fragile. So anyway, so how detailed is this? I have to say it is far too detailed. I have so many graphs. I will hopefully be explaining what these graphs mean, and hopefully it will make sense along the way. But if it doesn't, just enjoy my pretty graphs, okay? I did edit out quite a few things that I wanted to include, but realized that this video might be way too long if I did include them, so you're welcome.
Anyway.
Finally, how am I ranking these people? And I want to quote Survivor 42's Zach Wurtenberger's younger brother, Corey Wurtenberger, and say that I will be ranking them based off of a rich tapestry of a variety of attributes. And so I've listed out all of these attributes and ranked them accordingly, and then I've averaged out everything that I could think of. And that ranking is based off of how they averaged with all the rankings. Does that make sense? I hope so. If it doesn't, just follow along. Also, I have a Dance Mom-esque pyramid for you all. So I know it's not actually in the shape of a pyramid. I do know what a pyramid is supposed to look like. But I figured I didn't want it in the shape of a pyramid. So it's kind of more like a tier list. I even have my own tier list labels for it all. So I've categorized all of the contestants in these different tiers. So these are what the tiers are. We have, I hope they had fun, which is for the contestants that did so poorly that I hope they didn't come for the money. I hope they came for the experience. And then after that, I have maybe,
if they're really, really lucky.
And so those are for the contestants that had some reasonable chance to win. And by that, I mean it's like a 1 to 2% chance. And so, you know, maybe if things really, really go their way, they could win. They're not quite as like dead in the water as this group, you know, but they're still probably not gonna win. And then after that, I wanted kind of a more quirky name, but I just thought that this was so fitting. So I just kept it at that. We have wild card picks. And what that means is that they don't quite have the win equity as the top people. Like they didn't win quite as much, but I do think that if you were to have them as like a wild card pick for who were to win the season, you know, I think they're a fun underdog. You know, they're probably not gonna win, but
they're not dead in the water.
And then after that, we have it was their game to lose, meaning, frankly, it's probably their own fault that if they didn't win the game, you know? If they're not Savannah, You know, it was their game to lose. I'm sorry. You should have regrets. And then finally, on the top, we have my bias, which is the person who performed the best. And I fear that I might not have rated them properly because they almost did too well. But we'll see who that is. And so let's start off our tier list with the 18th ranked person based off of my simulations. The person who's the lowest at the I hope they had fun tier is Annie. So in 18th place, we have Annie. She got 17th place overall, and her original tribe was the Kelly tribe. Kelly? It's Kelly.
Whatever.
Her average placement was 13.95, and she did not win any of the games. As far as her stats go, I gave her decent for physical and average for endurance and mental comps. We didn't see her play that much, so I can really only go off of the few challenges that I watched her compete in. And she is older, and so while I think she held her own for the most part,
This is just what I gave her.
for her stamina, I gave her above average because she does seem like a firecracker if I say so myself. I gave her decent social skills, and I made her easily angered for her temperament. I don't know, it seemed like she put off some people on her tribe. I think that's fair to give her. I did give her terrible strategic ability because she kind of just talked and did not consider the people around her. And I gave her untrustworthy for loyalty level. I don't think she liked anyone on her tribe.
And that's okay.
She didn't really seem like she knew what was going on in her tribe. But that could be an edit.
I don't know.
So here is how her placements all broke down. As you can see there, it's very heavy on the pre-merge side. I put a little star on where their actual placement was on the season so that you can see like how often they placed there on these simulations. And then I also put little stars right here and right here. This represents when the swap happened, and then this represents when the merge happened. So we can kind of see like how often she got voted out pre-swap and then how often she got voted out pre-merge. Now I also have a percent breakdown graph here. What this means is, so okay, follow me along here. You've seen my Big Brother videos. You've seen me do this before. But basically what I'm showing here is how often she got to each placement. So theoretically, everyone reaches 18th place. Like everyone has a 100% chance of making at least 18th place. Now from there, your percentage goes down. And so because of how often she got voted out in 18th place, she now only has like an 88% chance of reaching at least 17th place. And then we go from there. As we can also see from here, and you probably noticed this with her placement breakdown, she does not go past 4th place, which is strange to me. 200 games and she never got past 4th place. I haven't really seen that before. I'm not gonna lie. It's almost impressive. So now I have just a variety of numbers that we can go through. So her mode and all of this was 17th, which she got 16% of the time. Her median was 14. As I stated before, she had an average placement of 13.95, and this ranked her 18th place overall out of 18, obviously. She won a total of 0 times out of 0 times because she was never in the final 3. This ranks her 16th place overall. She has a 0% win percentage in the final 3, which is also 16th place. And you might be asking,
How does this work?
if she didn't win any, how is she not in last place? And that, my friend, is because some infinities are larger than other infinities. I'll just keep it at that right now, and we'll see what I mean by it. I'm being cryptic on purpose. She only made the merge 23.5% of the time, which ranks her 18th out of 18. She had a 0% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks her at 18th place. She had a 0% chance of surviving the fire making round, which also ranks her at 18th place. And at any given stage, she had about a 34% chance of getting voted out, which ranks her at 18th place. Now, I have here a comparison of how she did in her original tribe versus the mixed tribe. So this is the first 100 games and the second 100 games. As we can see, she does a little bit better during the mixed tribes, but really not like significantly better. And also when she reaches 7th place, she kind of it ends the same anyway. I also have a pie graph down here to kind of represent this as well. She was voted out before the swap in her original tribe 50% of the time. And when we mix it up, it's only 48% of the time. So good for you, Annie. Now, this is a slide that I have that I like to call ranked against others. And I might need to explain a little bit what this is. So this is her graph showing all of her percentage breakdown from 18th place to 1st place. As we move forward here, we're going to see other contestants and like get to compare it with each other, okay? Up here, I had already ranked them with each placement of how likely they are to make that placement. Okay, follow me along. So basically I'm saying like in 17th place, who is the most likely to stay versus who's the most likely to go home. And I ranked them from 1 to 18. And this kind of helps us see how likely they are to survive any given round. Because if they are below this line right here, that means that they are at risk of going home, that they are below other people in terms of how likely they are to go in that placement. If they are above the line, that means that they are probably pretty safe. It means that there are other people around who are more likely to go home during that placement. So again, as we move forward, we're gonna see other people and get to compare it to Annie's line. As we can see from this graph right here, she ranks 18th place almost every single time. And so she's pretty much the one who's guaranteed to go home as long as she's there. So, I hope she had fun. Because she wasn't gonna win this game, unfortunately. Now, finally, before we move forward, I also have a pros and con list with each of these contestants. And so this is basically like what they have going for them versus what they don't have going for them. So for Annie, I would say that her pros is that she is apparently so threatening that no one is willing to let her get past 4th place. Like, you know, that's impressive. I would honestly take that as a compliment that no one is willing to let me get past 4th place because they just know I'm gonna win that much.
You know?
Like, I'd rather be that than a goat. I will say this, she also doesn't have the highest amount of last place placements. She's 17th of 18 for last place placements. So she's got that going for her. And frankly, she's an unknown entity. So for all we know, she might totally just beast everyone during Final Tribal Council. So, you know,
She's got that going for her as well.
As for her cons, she does get voted out from her original tribe almost 50% of the time. And for some reason, despite all this, she's still targeted during the merge. I would think that if someone like her gets past the merge, I'd just keep her around, but apparently she's still a huge target. So that's not good either. And then I would say like pretty much everything is a con for Annie. She doesn't have much going for her, besides just being an unknown entity. After Annie, as our 17th ranked person, we have Christina.
I know.
So up next we have Christina in 17th place, which I I wonder if maybe I was a little too harsh on her in the stats, because I don't think she fully deserves this low of a placement, if I'm being honest. But I do think she got really lucky, like in the actual season. So her actual placement was 5th place. She was on the Hina tribe, which they did very well, you know. Her average placement in this whole experiment was 13.32, and she won a total of 0 times. As far as her stats go, I set her terrible for physical. I do think that she was one of the weakest players in terms of her physicality, and that kind of goes along with the endurance, where I gave her decent. I did give her great for mental, but I do think that the terrible physical probably hurt her a lot. However, it was clearly not a detriment for her original tribe, because they still won stuff. I just noticed that they kept her on the sidelines whenever they could. So I gave her average social skills, which I do think I maybe should have given her great, but I don't know. I gave her below average stamina. Now, my only criticism with this is I do think stamina equates to like the fire making skill, and I do think that that was one of her strengths, and so perhaps I should have rated this a bit better to reflect that, but I don't know. I didn't learn that until after I did all these simulations. For her temperament, I don't have her easily angered as like, because I think she's an angry person. I don't think that at all. I do think that she was emotional on the season. She did have like kind of that panic attack outburst a few times in the season, I believe. And so I wanted to reflect that, which is why her temperament is at a 2 instead of like 3 or 4. Her strategic ability I put as decent. I don't think she certainly wasn't the driving force of anything going on in the tribe. And I gave her an unbreakable loyalty level because she was very much like a Hina strong person. I think she was the one who was starting the chanting.
That's my opinion.
I think maybe if I were to change anything, it would be the stamina, social, and temperament to maybe try to reflect her actual game a little bit better. But
I don't know.
I think at the end of the day, she wasn't the greatest player, so I'm not surprised that she's here, but I do think it's a little unfair. Now, when we look at her placement breakdown, of course, kind of like Annie, she's pretty high in the pre-merge area. She does get into the merge a little bit more, and she actually has a final 3 placement. Good for you, Christina. Here's her percentage breakdown. Again, it's her pre-merge is not great, but in real life, she got really lucky with the pre-merge. So, like, she wasn't in danger at all. So she's got that going for her. As far as her numbers go, her mode was 14th place, which she got 14% of the time. Her median was 14. Her average placement was 13.32, which ranks her 17th overall. She won a total of 0 out of 1 times, and that ranks her 17th place overall. She has a 0% win percentage, which ranks her 17th place overall. And again, some infinities are larger than other infinities. So let me take this moment to explain like why I have her ranked lower than Annie in terms of her like winning ability. And my thought process is this. Annie won a total of 0 times, and she was in the final a total of 0 times. Christina was in the final 1 time and also didn't win any, which means that she lost 1 game. Annie technically didn't lose any games. So in my head, that 0% like win percentage feels more significant towards Christina than it does Annie. And now you can see Christina's ranked 17th out of 18, and so that means that someone else lost more than Christina. Some infinities are larger than other infinities. Now, Christina only made the merge 25.5% of the time, which is also not great. And that ranks her 17th place overall. Her chance of making the final 3 after making the merge was only 1.96, which ranks her 17th place overall, but it does beat Annie's 0%. her chance of surviving the fire-making round is 16.67%, which ranks her 17th place overall, and her percent of getting voted out at any given stage is about 25.5% of the time. Now, here's what we have when we are comparing her original tribe versus being in a mixed group of tribes. I did find it interesting that it seems like in her original tribe, she goes out pre-swap a lot more. And I think it's because, in a weird way, I do think it matters, like, who loses that, like, their supplies at the very beginning. I think that's also what we should stop doing in the new era, is, like, punishing the tribes that are losing. Because, yeah, it's just gonna make them lose more, because they have no food to eat. It seems cruel, and it seems like, I think that's why there's like one disaster tribe each season. I just kind of want them to stop. And so I wonder if there was just more likelihood of Calais not being like the tribe, like disaster tribe in this. And so I think Christina was probably just like the main target anytime Hina went to tribal council, because she was clearly the weakest one. Whereas maybe in like the mixed tribes, you know, maybe she was in a tribe with like Annie or Nicole, like some other weaker players, and so maybe she was able to hide behind that more. I don't know. But we can see that in her original tribe, she does do better after the swap. However, at the end of the day, once we get to like 8th and 7th place, they kind of match each other anyway. It seems like in her original tribe, she was able to make it to the merge a little bit more. It's just this kind of early part that kind of hurt her in her original tribe. Now, when we rank her against Annie, we can see that the only time where she's really in more danger than Annie is right at the beginning. Christina's the one that got last place the most. But after that, she does perform better than Annie overall. Now, her pros is that she's not Annie. That really helps her not to be 18th place overall, you know? If she can make it to the merge, she can last a bit longer than what her stats might suggest. She's got like a little bit more wiggle room. I like to do this thing where I kind of like play out the season like with their stats. I didn't have enough time to do it in this video, but trust me, she can make it a little bit longer past the merge. If she's lucky. But only if she's lucky. And luckily, in real life, she was lucky. The best case scenario happened to her in real life. So Christina can truly say, #no regrets when it comes to her Survivor experience.
I'm happy for her.
Her cons is that she does get voted out first the most, which is unfortunate. She only made the merge a quarter of the time, and so that doesn't really help. And frankly, I don't know why she wasn't more of a GOAT. I don't know why, if she made the merge, why aren't people just taking her to the end? I'll say this about the Survivor simulation as opposed to the Big Brother one. This is kind of a tangent, but just hear me out. In the Big Brother one, there are clearly GOATs that I find when I'm doing these simulations. Like, there will be bad players who just make second place, like a quarter of the time. And like, they never win, but they're second place like 20% of the time. And to me, that's like significant. It's like, okay, this person's a GOAT. I don't see that in the Survivor simulation. Like, the people that I think should be GOATs aren't GOATs.
I think that's weird.
Anyway, after Christina, as our 16th ranked person, we have our last place player, Nicole. So in 16th place, we have Nicole, who was the original last place player. And so, good for her. Good for her for making it to 16th place. She was originally on the Calais tribe, and her average placement was 12.99, and she won 2 times, actually. However, the rest of her stats are so bad that I still needed to put her in this group. I'm not gonna lie. So, when it came to her stats, for physical and endurance, I gave her decent, and then I gave her average for mental. Again, we didn't see a lot of her from the challenges, so I could really just go off with the one that I saw her from. I made notes. I can't remember how she actually performed, but I trust myself with my notes. I gave her below average for stamina. I gave her average social skills. I don't think it's fair to judge how like the Kelly tribe liked her based off of just one episode, I feel like she seems pleasant. I did give her like the emotional status.
Didn't she like throw up?
Maybe that's why I gave her low energy. I don't really remember Nicole very much. This is just based off of the notes I made on the first episode, and I don't remember it. So just trust me with this, I guess. I gave her decent strategic ability and an average loyal level. Here is how her placements broke down. Again, like Christina and Annie, it's very heavy on the pre-merge area. Now, I think she has a little bit more here in like the post-merge, and she did win twice. And then here is her percentage breakdown. Now, her mode was 15th place, which she got 11.5% of the time. Her median was 14, and her average placement was 12.99, which ranks her 16th overall. She won a total of 2 times out of 2 times, which ranks her 13th place overall, and she won 100% of the times that she was in the final 3, which ranks her first, and makes her the only person who is above 50% in terms of their win percentage.
I can't explain it.
I would say with any of these like win percentages, if they're above like 33.33, so like a third of the time, that's a good percentage. But other than that, I don't know.
Anyway,
she made merge 30.5% of the time, which ranks her 16th overall. She had a 3.28% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which is also 16th overall. She had a 33.33% chance of surviving the fire making round, which ranks her 16th overall. And she has a 24.549% chance of getting voted out at any given time, which ranks her 16th overall. So when we compare her original tribe versus the mixed tribes, honestly, she does a lot worse during the mixed tribes. We can see here that like during the swap, she actually kind of makes a better run at it. But for her original tribe, she does better at the pre-swap section anyway. And then once she makes the merge, those are actually the times where she won too. She didn't win in any of the games for the mixed tribes, just in the original tribes. And so, I don't know. It seems like Kelly probably was the better tribe for her, even if it meant that maybe her pre-merge era wasn't the best. So here is how Nicole ranks with everyone else. Again, she's on the low side. She's kind of likely to go home at least by 15th or 14th place. But she does have a little bit better win equity than Annie and Christina. She definitely performs better pre-merge. Christina performs a little bit better post-merge, but again, like the end results still lean towards Nicole. Now for her pros. She is apparently amazing at the final tribal council. Hashtag the true Riz God. 2 wins is already better than a lot of people on this cast, and so she should be proud of that. And also, she is by no means the consensus first boot. Does she get voted out pre-merge a lot? Yes, but she's not exactly like the person who gets voted out first the most.
So good for her.
That being said, as far as her cons go, she still has a 40% chance of getting voted out before the swap, which is not good. She's also equally targeted during the swap. And when we did the mixed tribes version, she didn't make it to fire making once. So she got voted out before 5th place each and every time. Let's move forward, shall we? And the final person in the I hope they had fun tier, meaning they had no chance of winning this game, is Joanne. I know, I'm just as disappointed as you are. Now, in 15th place, we have Jawan. And listen, I love Jawan. I think he's a fun character, so I was sad to see that he was this low in the ranking personally. There's two things that I think when it comes to why he ranked this low to begin with. So hear me out. I think one, we can think about it in terms of like the edited show. He was kind of the enemy of Savannah, who was the winner. And so I wonder if within the editing, he's shown in a weaker light to make Savannah seem stronger. I wouldn't be surprised by that, and I wouldn't be surprised if that like biased my thinking in terms of his stats, okay? My other thought too is that I don't think that this was a great like cast for Jawan. I think that this cast had a lot of people who like either were the cool kids or wanted to be the cool kids, and Jawan is very much not in that mindset, you know? So I think that probably hurt him as well. I don't think that this is really the cast for him. That's why I think he's this low. I love Jawan. He did not do well. I'm sorry. As you can see, he won 0 times. His average placement was 12.57. For his stats, I gave him decent for physical because I don't think he was the best at the physical challenges, but I think he was fine in terms of endurance and mental challenges. But it wasn't really significantly great to be either. His stamina, I did give above average because it does seem like he had a lot of energy and he was very, you know, it didn't seem like the survival stuff got him down that much. I gave him decent social skills, but again, that might be more because of Savannah. And like, you know, she's talking about how she doesn't think Jawan has good social skills, and her being the winner kind of makes her narrative get pushed forward more. And so I wonder if that's some kind of bias coming forth towards this stats.
I don't know.
I gave him the easily angered because he was a bit emotional at times. I think especially in like the first episode, I remember like a little bit of a breakdown. Again, I don't like to think of it as easily angered. I think of it as emotional or not emotional. I gave him average strategic ability and average loyalty level. He's very much willing to play the game, but I don't think it's anything revolutionary. Again, this might be biased just due to the nature of the show and showing Savannah's story. I don't know. So here is how his placements broke down. He's already like, I think, leagues ahead of Annie, Christina, and Nicole, but he was significantly behind the next ranked person that I think that this is the appropriate category for Jawan to be in, personally. But we can already see that he does have some chance of making the merge. A lot more than the other 3 at least. And then here is his percentage breakdown. So his mode was 17th place, which he got 11.5% of the time. His median was 13. His average placement was 12.57, which ranks him 15th place overall. He won 0 out of 6 times, which this ranks him 18th place overall. His win percentage was 0, which is 18th place, and this is the biggest infinity. You know, he lost 6 times, and so to me, I think that makes his 0% more significant than, say, Christina's 0%. So I hope that explains my crypticness.
Anyway.
He made the merge 37% of the time, which ranks him 15th place overall. He had a 8.11% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which is 15th place overall. He has a 100% chance, though, of surviving the fire making round. So, good for you, Jawan.
Make that fire, King.
He has a 19.761% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, which ranks him 15th place overall. Here is how he looks when we compare his original tribes to mixing up the tribes. I'm not surprised that he does worse pre-merge with his original tribe. I don't think he fit in very well with his original tribe, with the exception of like Sage, really. So I do think that probably hurt him more than anything else. However, again, we can see it doesn't really matter once we really get into the merge, and so it kind of just all works out. Now, when we compare him with the other 3, I do think it's kind of clear that he is like kind of leagues above these guys, especially when we look at this graph down here. Once we get past the original tribes and we go into the swap, he does seem to fare a lot better than the other 3. However, there is some danger here before the swap. But overall, he's still kind of dead in the water, I'm not gonna lie. Now for his pros, he is a fire-making king. A fire hates to see this man coming. I would say that he's clearly the best of the hopeless group, so...
You got that going for you.
And I will concede that I might not have said his stats accurately. His cons are that his original tribe does seem to be gunning for him, which is kind of accurate to the actual show, I'm not gonna lie. If Uli had lost any of the original 4 challenges, I think he's gone, probably. He didn't win any of his tribal councils and he was there 6 times, and so that's just a rough go. And he only made the merge 37% of the time, which is not great. Now let's look at our next tier. Now we are getting into the tier called Maybe, if they are really, really, really lucky. Meaning these are the people that only could win if luck was on their side for all 36 days that they played Survivor. Is it 36 or is it 34?
I've forgotten.
Either way, these people did not have much of a chance of winning. The first person in this tier is Jeremiah. So we have Jeremiah here as our 14th ranked player. He was originally 15th place, and he was in the Kelly tribe. His average placement is 10.905, and he won 3 times. From this point on, everyone has won at least 1 game. So good for them. For his stats, I set him as decent for physical and average for endurance and mental. Again, it's not based off of a lot of challenges, but I don't think he was the strongest in anything, really. I set his stamina to below average. He seemed to be stumbling on his words a lot because of the survival aspect of it all. Granted, the Kelly tribe was pretty desolate, so that might have been part of the reason. But I can only go off of what I've seen on the show, so that's why I have that set. His social skills are great, his temperament is average, his strategic ability is average, and his loyalty level is trustworthy. Here is how all his placements broke down. Now, we can see that 16th place is definitely the most significant figure here, but you know what? He doesn't have a bad merge run. I think especially if you're comparing it to the previous group, we can see a significant improvement here. Here is his percentage breakdown. And then when we look at his numbers, his mode was 16th at 11.5%. His median was 12. His average placement was 10.905, which ranks him 13th place overall. He won 3 times out of a total of 17 times in Final Council, which ranks him 12th place overall. He has a 17.65% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks him 13th overall. He made the merge 49.5% of the time, which is 14th overall. He has a 17.17% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks him 9th overall. He has a 53.13% chance of surviving the fire making round, which ranks him 14th overall. And he has a 14.478% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, which ranks him 11th overall. When we compare his original tribe to mixing the tribes, it seems as if he does slightly worse in his original tribe. I kind of think that makes sense. I could see him actually doing an okay job if he was on a different tribe. I think he would have gone a lot longer in the show, which of course makes sense because he wouldn't have had to get voted out. But I do think he could have found some footing in a different tribe than his original one. Now here I have him compared to Just Jawan. I wanted to compare him to someone else, but I also didn't want to have everyone on here each and every time that we looked at the comparisons. We can see here already that Jeremiah is doing significantly better than Jawan, both here and on the percent graph right here. So that's just to say there is kind of a significant gap between Jawan's tier and Jeremiah's tier. So his pros is that he has some hope of getting to the final tribal council. He's not like entirely dead in the water. Different versions suggest that his original tribe was probably like an unlucky draw for him. I think he could have had some ground if he was on a different original tribe. And I think if he gets lucky pre-swap, he can make a decent run. In real life though, he did not get lucky pre-swap.
He was very unlucky pre-swap.
Also, during his lucky runs, when he's able to go pretty far in the game, fire making does seem to be his undoing most of the time, and he only made merge half the time. So it's still not great odds for him. After Jeremiah, the next contestant is Jake. I'm sorry, Jake, but the snake allowed you to see the birth of your child. I don't think you were gonna win anyway. So in 13th, we have Jake.
Mr. Snake Man.
His actual placement was 16th, where he was medevaced
by a snake.
His original tribe was Keleg. His average placement was 10.41, and he won a total of 1 time in all 200 simulations. For his stats, I set him as a beast for physical, great for endurance, and an average for mental. I gave him an above average stamina and great social skills because his tribe did seem to love him, but he seemed a little temperamental, so I did give him a 2 on the temperament scale. Like, especially like when Annie decides to target him, he changes tune really quickly. I only gave him an average strategic ability because, I don't know, I see people like Jake and it just kind of feels like they take their physical element and they don't really think that they need the strategy part. That's just me though. And I gave his loyalty level a 4. So here is how his placement broke down. As we can see here, I think this is the first person where their post-merge is better than their pre-merge. So he's got that going for him. Here's his percentage breakdown. And here are his numbers. His mode was 11th place, which he got 9.5% of the time. His median is 10.5. His average placement was 10.41, which ranks him 11th overall. He won once out of 17 times, which ranks him 14th place overall. And he has a 5.88 win percentage, which also ranks him 14th place overall. He made the merge 59.5% of the time, which ranks him 10th overall. He has a 14.92% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks him 11th place overall. He has a 77.27% chance of surviving the fire making round, which ranks him 11th overall. And he has a 14.723% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, which ranks him 12th place overall. Looking at this graph, it's clear that his original tribe hurts him more than it helps him. And I do think that makes sense in terms of how much they were losing at the beginning. However, when it comes to the original versus the mixed tribe, honestly, once we reach final tribal council, it kind of evens out. But I guess he can go a bit further with the mixed tribes. Now, when we compare Jake to Jeremiah, he's definitely better during the pre-merge, but we do get into territory once we reach, like 7th place, where Jeremiah kind of overtakes Jake. But I don't think Jeremiah overtakes him to a significant degree, which is why Jake is ranked higher than Jeremiah. But they're certainly in the same category. So his pros, he has a much better go at the pre-merge than any of the other people we've covered so far. And real Jake got to go home to see the birth of his child instead of getting 11th place, which is what this simulation suggested. So I think that's probably a better situation for him than just being the first person voted out during the merge. So good for Jake. His cons are that he goes home pre-merge more often than he should. For someone who's so good at challenges, you would hope that, he'd have a good chance at making the merge, but he does seem to still be targeted, which is not good for someone like him. He does seem to get targeted pretty immediately after making the merge, which isn't great either. And And for some reason, when he does make the final tribal council, he seems to be a goat. Which, if you're someone like Jake, that's not really the position you want to be in, you know? After Jake, we have our resident cult leader, Shannon. So next we have Shannon, and she's in 12th place, and she actually placed 12th place. Good for her. She was originally in the Uli tribe. Her average placement was 11.24, and she won a total of 3 times. As far as her stats go, I gave her average across the board for all the challenges. I didn't really see anything like super bad or super great from her. Her stamina, I gave her above average. She kind of seems like an Energizer bunny. I gave her great social skills because everyone besides Sage seemed to like her. She has an always calm temperament because, again, she's kind of cult-like. But I did give her strategic ability decent, and she seemed very flip-floppy.
So I gave her a backstabber.
But it could be biased towards the show because Sage was a finalist, and so they just weren't showing her in the proper light.
I don't know.
Here's what her placement breakdown looks like. Yeah, it's like she kind of performed similarly all throughout the merge as well as like the after the merge. It's kind of just like after 5th place where she really tumbles down. You know, she kind of is all over the board, to be honest. And so here is her percentage breakdown. Her mode was 11th and 18th place, which she got 9.5% of the time. Her median was 11. Her average placement is 11.24, which ranks her 14th overall. She won a total of 3 times out of 12, which ranks her 11th overall, and she has a 25% win percentage in the final 3, ranking her 10th overall. She made the merge 51.5% of the time, which ranks her 13th overall, and she has a 11.65% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks her 14th overall. She has an 85.71% chance of surviving the fire making round, which ranks her 5th overall, and she gets voted out about 16.487% of the time at any given stage, which ranks her 14th overall. Her OG versus mixed tribes seem to be pretty similar, at least once they reach the swap. She maybe does a little bit better in a mixed tribe. I kind of think she just does better whenever she's not with Sage. That's what I imagine. As far as comparing her to Jake and Jeremiah, honestly, she does a little bit worse than them, but I think her ability to win in the end is just a little bit better, which is why she's ranked above them. I think both Jeremiah and Jake, their winning chances are not great. I kind of would trust Shannon a bit more. But when comparing like the actual percentage numbers, she is a little bit lower than them. So her pros, her end game actually has like some ground. She could win. If the cards play right, I think she could win. She has a solid chance of making it past the fire making, and she can win a final council a quarter of the time. Wow. It's more than what other people can say. She does go home pre-merge about half the time, which isn't great. If she makes the merge, she's kind of one of the immediate targets, so that's also not great. And really what I imagine is that as long as Sage is there, Shannon is probably not long for the game. That's my headcanon, at least. After Shannon, we have Jason. And so next we have Jason, whose actual placement was 13th place, and he was on the Hina tribe. His average placement is 10.205, and he won 1 time. For his stats, I have him average for physical and decent for endurance. That's definitely not his strong point, but the puzzles, man, he was great at. This man was amazing at puzzles, and so he gets a beast for mental. I gave him average stamina, average social skills, and an always calm temperament. I gave him decent strategic ability and unbreakable loyalty because once that swap happened, I don't think he played that the best. Here's what his placements breakdown looks like, and here is his percentage breakdown. As far as his numbers go, his mode was 18th place, which he got 9.5% of the time. His median was 10, and his average placement is 10.205, which ranks him 10th overall. He won once out of 18 times, which ranks him 15th overall, and he has a win percentage of 5.56%, which ranks him 15th overall. He made the merge 57.5% of the time, ranking him 11th overall. His chance of making the final 3 after making the merge is 15.65%, which ranks him 10th overall. His chance of surviving a fire making round is 62.02%, which ranks him 13th overall, and he has about a 14.211% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking him 10th overall. I would say that his original tribe seemed to run better than the mixed tribe, even though I would say once we reach the final tribal council, that doesn't seem to be the case though. But his original tribe helps him get through everything else though. When we compare him with the others, I do think that he just seems to have a longer lasting impression than the other ones. I would say like he's probably not going to get out until about 8th place. That seems to be his kind of sweet spot, but he doesn't exactly have the best win equity, which I think is what hurts him the most. So his pros is that he seems to usually get to at least the merge. He's got a solid chance of getting to the merge. His OG tribe of Hina seemed to be a good fit for him, so, Jason can say hashtag no regrets. If he's lucky, final tribal counselor's not a huge stretch to get, but he is a GOAT.
Hashtag losing finalist.
I do think he's in a weird amount of danger pre-swap. He does seem to get out first a good amount, but so I was thinking, I'm like, why would you get Jason out? Because he's so good at puzzles. You don't want to keep that on your tribe. But if they went to tribal council first, it'd probably be because he lost the puzzle. So actually it makes a lot of sense that they'd vote him out first.
And
then finally, I do think he has to rely too much on luck. So it's he has to have a good original tribe. He has to have a good place where he gets swapped to. He has to have a good chance of who his allies are. I don't think he seems to have a lot of the agency for his game. Does that make sense? That's how I feel. And finally, the last person in the maybe if they were really, really, really lucky tier, to my shock that he got this far in the rating, is Matt. And yes, so 10th place we have Matt here, which really surprised me. I was not expecting him to rank this high, I'm not gonna lie. His original placement was 14th. He was on the Hina tribe. His average placement was 10.86, and he won 5 times. So for his challenge performance, maybe I should have set some of these lower, but when I was just watching the show, it just didn't seem like he was all doing that poorly on any of the challenges. I was trying to write down whenever I thought someone was showing they weren't doing well in any given stage, and I just couldn't really find it when I was watching him. So he's got pretty good challenge stats. I do have him have a pretty high amount of energy. The surviving stuff didn't seem to really get him down. I think what kind of hurts him is his social skills, which I have at decent, his strategic ability, which is at decent, and his loyalty level I have at untrustworthy, because he seems pretty willing to flip-flop. I do have his temperament at usually calm though, because he seemed chill, I don't know. So here is his placement breakdown. It's very heavy right after the merge. That's his sweet spot. Or not sweet spot. His sour spot? Here is his percentage breakdown. Again, right after 9th place, it just really falls down. So his mode was 11th, which he got 15.5% of the time. His median was 11. His average placement was 10.86, which ranks him 12th overall. He won 5 times out of 16, which ranks him 9th overall, making his win percentage 31.25% of the time, which ranks him 6th overall. Honestly, decent win equity. He's not in the final tribal council very often, but he's got win equity. He made the merge 60% of the time, which ranks him 9th overall. He has a 13.33% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks him 12th overall. He has a 94.12% chance of surviving the fire making round, ranking him 3rd overall. And he has a 14.881% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking him 13th overall. Now, I think he has one of the more glaring differences between his OG and mixed tribes. Now, I don't know how his original tribe allowed him to stay as long as it did. Like, they were not voting him out pre-merge at all during the original tribe. It was like, I thought I did something wrong, if I'm being honest. I wonder if part of it is just he has Christina on his tribe and like maybe Jason, and maybe like they were like just weaker, and so it just kind of saves him throughout it. Like maybe I didn't set his like challenge abilities correctly, but he was very safe. And then it just totally switched once I started randomizing the tribes. Like he was not performing that well, and so that was quite strange to me, I'm not gonna lie. So now when we compare him to the others in his group, again, his performance pre-merge is like pretty good. It's really just like the post-merge where he starts to get targeted, where he does like dip far below any of them, but he also has a better win equity than any of them. So he was kind of weird to rank in that regard, but I do think he's like the top of this group. But like, look at this, like this post-merge percentage, like he just plummets down there. I don't know why they're going after him right after merge. It seems like a weird choice to me. I don't know. So his pros is, one, he truly shocked me that he wasn't in the first group. I was fully expecting that, but he shocked me, you know? He proved me wrong, I guess. His original tribe apparently does wonders for him. That was apparently a great tribe for him to be in. And he has win equity if he can make it past the early merge. Like if he can survive that like 11th, 10th, 9th place spot, he can certainly win, that's for sure. Now his cons is that real life did not reflect this at all, so he should be hashtag full of regrets. Clearly he's so big of a threat that he gets immediately targeted during the merge. Like, I just can't imagine. I'd be so intimidated by this man. And this is one that I feel is the most inaccurate to real life.
Anyway,
let's get to our next category. Now we are moving on to our wildcard picks. These are the ones that, you know, they were kind of like underdogs. I almost appreciated their story more than I did the others, because it felt like whenever I saw that they won, I'm like, yes, they beat the odds. So I think these people have a better story than the people at the top, in my opinion. But the first wildcard that we have is the Riz God himself, Rizzo. And so we have Rizzo, the Riz God, Rizgod.
Riz God.
I like Rizzo. I think he's funny. I saw that they released what the original tribes are for Survivor 50, and I think they did a disservice. I need to see Rizzo and Cirie interact with each other. I don't know why, but it's just something that I need to see. I'd be fascinated by it.
Anyway.
So Rizzo obviously got 4th place originally, and he was on the Uli tribe. His average placement here is 9.97, and he won a total of 9 times. Rizzo's very interesting to me. I think he's fun. And I'm glad he lasted as long as he did on like the actual season, you know. I do think that, you know, should he have gotten sent home earlier? Probably. I think that was the cast just being stupid. So I think it makes sense that he's placed like right here in the middle. So for his challenge skills, I had a hard time figuring it out because he seems both good at challenges and also horrible at them. Like, I feel like he was throwing a lot of like the individual ones, but I also don't know if he was. So I just decided to give him great for physical and then decent for endurance and mental challenges. He also seemed to be good at just like the skill-based ones, like at things that were like balancing or like throwing things. And I didn't really know what category to put that in. Like in Big Brother, they have a general category. And so I probably would have rated him highly there and then like given him decent for all of these other categories. But I I didn't really know what to do here.
So that's what I did.
I gave him a high amount of stamina because, again, he's like an Energizer bunny. He's just going all the time. I gave him great social skills. Maybe it's biased towards what was shown on the edited show. I don't know. I gave him average temperament. He was also so emotional, but it was more so in the confessionals, I'll say. Oh, maybe I should have put him at a 2.
I don't know.
I gave him a 3 for strategic ability. Maybe it should have been a 4. It's almost like I wanted to take more into account like these things, like the boldness, the influence, and intuition, because I think that's what he's good at. I don't think it's like the strategy necessarily, which maybe I should have just set the strategy at 4 in the meantime, since like this wouldn't have been taken account in like the actual simulations. But that's just, I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I don't know.
But I did give him a 4 for his loyalty level. This is what his placement breakdown looks like, and this is what his percentage breakdown looks like. For his mode, he had a 9% chance of getting 2nd and 13th place, which I think speaks to him pretty well. He's on both ends of the spectrum, you know? His median was 10.5, his average placement was 9.97, which ranks him 9th overall. He won 9 out of 32 times, which ranks him 7th overall. And he has a 28.13% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks him 8th overall. He had a 54% chance of making the merge, which ranks him 12th overall, and he has a 29.63% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks him 6th overall. His chance of surviving the fire making round is 84.21%, which ranks him 6th overall, and his average percent chance of getting voted out at any given stage is 11.327%, which ranks him 8th overall. Here's how his original tribe compares to mixing up the tribes. I would say like pre-swap, it's pretty much the same, but then he seems to fare better with like the mixed tribes than his original. However, he does win more often in his original tribe version. Now, when we compare him with Matt, who's in the other category, I was kind of close to putting Rizzo in the other category, but I do think that he's a little bit more win equity overall that I think puts him into this category. He just seems like a wild card in general, and he kind of just always rides this rides this safety line a lot. Like he's always almost about to go home, but not quite, which I also think explains his game in real life pretty well. You can see here that once he kind of makes the merge, it kind of fares a little bit better for him. I think he has a tough time pre-merge, because it's like up in the air of whether or not he's gonna go home. So his pros, if he can get past the merge, he can make a pretty legit run, and he seems to just be constantly outrunning danger, which I think makes a great underdog story. I do wish that he won more though in the end, because then I could fully describe him as like a high risk, high reward person. But he lost in the final Tribal Council too much for me to feel like I can say that. He can see danger pretty early on if luck isn't on his side. And let's be real, the fire making results in this simulation didn't reflect real life, and so I'm sorry, Rizzo. After Rizzo, we have Sage. Finally, we have one of our finalists in the running here, and it is unfortunately our 3rd place player, Sage. So up next, we have Sage, who I find very funny. I am glad she was on this season. She ranks 8th overall. Her actual placement was 3rd, and she was on the Uli tribe. Her average placement was 8.77, and she won a total of 4 times. For her challenge abilities, I gave her decent for physical and endurance, and average for mental. I don't think she was very strong at challenges, but I think she tried. Her stamina, I gave average, and her social skills and temperament are both at 2, but it's for my own entertainment, so it's okay. I did give her a great strategic ability, and I gave her an average loyalty level. And my favorite, even though I know it wasn't a part of the simulation, was giving her very bitter for forgivingness, because I think that suits her really well. And again, I love that for her. This isn't like a dig at her for this, you know. Here's how her placements broke down. She's a 4th place queen, I guess. And here's how her percentage broke down. Her mode was 4th place, which she got 15%. 32% of the time. Her median was 8. Her average placement is 8.77, which ranks her 7th overall. She won 4 out of 18 times, which ranks her 10th overall. And she has a 22.22% chance of winning in the final 3, ranking her 12th overall. She made the merge 69.5% of the time, ranking her 8th overall. She made the final 3 after making the merge 12.95% of the time, ranking 13th overall. She has a 37.5% chance of surviving the fire making round, ranking her 15th overall, and she has a 12.922% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking her 9th overall. Here's how her OG tribes versus the mixed tribes compare with each other. I do think that, she fared a little bit worse in her original tribes, but I mean, it kind of just ended the same, mostly. But I'd say the mixed tribe was probably like a little bit better for her. Here's how she compares to Rizzo. She does perform better than him pretty much the whole time until we reach the final tribal council. For her, it was really like, she was doing so good until that fire making challenge, I'm not gonna lie. So her pros is that she made the top 4 a quarter of the time, which is very impressive. And in real life, she was just brought to final tribal council. She didn't need to worry about fire making. Good for Sage. Her cons is that she's always the fire maker, never the final tribal council member, except in real life. And honestly, her win equity makes her not very competitive in this group of wild cards, but I just had to put her in here because she was just so close the entire time. It's like she kept getting there, but she's not quite. After Sage, we have Sophie. She's the yellow Sophie, by the way, not the blue Sophie. One may call her the purple Sophie as well. So now we have yellow Sophie. She originally placed 7th in the actual show, and she is 7th here. She was originally on the Hina tribe, and her average placement was 8.78, and she won a total of 9 times. For her challenge abilities, I do think she was very good at challenges, so I gave her great for physical, beast for endurance, and great for mental. And then I gave her above average for her stamina. She was just kind of very happy the whole time, it felt like. For her social skills, I gave her average, and for her temperament, I gave her average. I don't really know why I gave her average for temperament, to be honest. I forget why, but that's what I put. I gave her average strategic ability and average loyalty level. I don't know. There was a reason why people were calling her Purple Sophie there for a bit, because she wasn't shown very often. I honestly just remember that she won challenges. So, good for you, Sophie. Here's her placement breakdown. As you can see, she's very safe before the merge. And here is her percentage breakdown. As far as her numbers go, her mode was 11th place, which she got 13% of the time. Her median was 9, and her average placement was 8.78, ranking her 8th overall. She won 9 times out of 34, which ranks her 8th overall, and she has a 26.47% chance of winning in the final 3, ranking her 9th overall. She made the merge 77% of the time, ranking her 6th overall, and she has a 22.08% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, ranking her 8th overall. Her chance of surviving the fire making round is 94.44, ranking her 2nd overall, and her average percent chance of getting voted out at any given stage is 10.739%, which ranks her 7th overall. Here's what her original tribe versus mixed tribe breakdown looks like. Honestly, before the merge, it's like basically the same. I imagine that's because she's good at challenges, and so she's just not gonna get voted out very often. It does seem like immediately after the merge, her OG tribe doesn't help her out too much, but it does kind of help her out in the end game if she can survive like that early merge stage, whereas the mixed tribes does the opposite. When we compare her to Rizzo and Sage, obviously she's doing like better than them during the pre-merge. It's the post-merge where it kind of mixes around, but overall she has honestly a pretty similar win equity to Rizzo, and so it helps boost her here over Rizzo because of how she performs in the pre-merge, you know? So her pros, she's very unlikely to go home during the pre-merge, and if she can make it to fire making, she's pretty golden, at least if she wants 2nd place. Her cons is that she gets pretty much immediately targeted as soon as the merge starts. And I'm also not sure why she lost as much as she did during the final tribal council. I feel like she should have won more, just given like kind of her story. But that's just me. And finally, the last contestant in our wildcard picks is our winner of the season, Savannah. And yes, we have our winner here at 6th place, Savannah. I do like her as a winner. She's fun to me. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. So she was originally on the Uli tribe. Her average placement was 7.335, and she won 10 times.
Not including the time she actually won the show.
For her stats, I think she was very strong at challenges. I gave her great for physical, beast for endurance, and great for mental. And then I gave her above average for her stamina. I gave her average social skills because while I think she was like pretty social, it also seemed like there was a good amount of people who just didn't like her. And I think that was for social reasons. So there's clearly something going on. I was trying to read through the edit there because they were certainly making it seem like it was unjustified, but you know, if enough people don't like you, there might be some reason to that.
You know?
And she was a little emotional at times, and so I gave her the 2 for temperament. I did give her a great strategic ability, and I gave her a trustworthy loyalty level. Here is her placement breakdown. Honestly, she doesn't get targeted like immediately after the merge, but it's like this, it's kind of this mid-merge area where she gets into danger. And then here is her percentage breakdown. So her mode was 8th place, which she got 14% of the time. Her median was 7, and her average placement was 7.335, which ranks her 6th overall. She won 10 times out of 45, which ranks her 6th overall. And she has a 22.22% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks her 11th overall. She made the merge 83% of the time, which ranks her 5th overall. And she has a 27.11% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, ranking her 7th overall. She has a 88.24% chance of surviving the fire making round, ranking her 4th overall. And she has a 9.013% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking her 6th overall. Here's what it looks like when we compare her original tribe to the mixing of tribes. It does look like her original tribe helps her right up until like the finale here. Then it kind of just, I'd say, equals out maybe, but it does seem like her original tribe helps her at the beginning of the game. And when we compare her to Rizzo, Sage, and Sophie, she is kind of clearly above all of them. If she won more, I think she could have been in the other category, but there is a significant gap of the winning between her and the 5th place person, which is why I think she's solidly in this wild card category as opposed to the other one. So her pros, she only got voted out by her original tribe 10% of the time, which is kind of crazy. She usually solidly makes it to at least 7th place, I'd say. So
that's pretty good.
And then I would say the simulation kind of speaks to what her actual winners arch was of the show. Like, she was the big target mid-merge, but like she makes it to the final council anyway, and so it's kind of like the people feel like they have to reward her, you know? So I really do think like her stats like kind of speak to why she won in the first place.
You know?
With that being said, her cons is that she did lose in the final tribal council quite a bit, which did surprise me because I do feel like, you know, the reason why she won makes sense. Like this kind of constant target on your back and like overcoming that. I feel like that's a good story. I wonder if it's like the social skills that they took too much into account. Like the people didn't want to reward her quite as much.
I don't know.
And then I would just say like she just has a lot of potential of going home in 5th, 6th, or 7th place if she's not lucky. I think in the show, it's like, you know, she was winning those immunity challenges, which certainly helped her in those spots. But if she doesn't get lucky, she has a big potential of going home there. And so now we've got our true contenders. Obviously, Savannah wasn't one. Just kidding, Savannah. I think you're a good winner. Now, since we know Savannah's not even in this top portion, this really was all of these contestants' game to lose. According to the simulation, they thought that these people should have won, and they didn't.
It was Savannah.
So let's see who these people are, shall we? The first person in the game to lose is our final finalist, Blue Sophie. So yes, we have our last finalist, Sophie here in 5th place. Her actual placement was 2nd, and she was on the Kelly tribe. Her average placement was 7.12, and she won 27 times. So as you can see, there's a pretty big jump from Savannah's 10. So for her challenges, I gave her decent for physical and mental. She didn't seem the strongest in either of those. She seemed okay with endurance, so I gave her average, but frankly, challenges were not her strong point, in my opinion. I also gave her below average for her stamina. It might be because, I'm seeing her do her... what's it called? Like in her original tribe, where they had nothing to eat. I might just be basing it off of that.
But I don't know.
I did give her great social skills and usually calm, and as well as a great strategic ability. I gave her average loyalty level because it's kind of a weird thing where she was mostly loyal to Rizzo and Savannah, but also kind of snaky, but she'd still be with them at the end of the day. I don't know. Anyway, here's her placement breakdown, and here's her percentage breakdown. Her mode was 4th place, which she got 18% of the time. Her median was 5, and her average placement was 7.12, which ranks her 5th overall. She won 27 times out of a total of 59 times in the final 3, which ranks her 5th overall. And she has a 45.76% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks her 2nd overall. She made the merge 74.5% of the time, which ranks her 7th overall. She has a 39.6% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, which ranks her 5th overall. She has a 62.11% chance of surviving the fire making round, which ranks her 12th overall. And she has a 7.327% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking her 5th overall. When we compare her original tribe to the mixed tribes, I will say that she has a higher chance of going home pre-swap with the mixed tribes. However, the mixed tribes is really what gave her this win equity. I don't know what it was, but she was gonna be in the other category until I did this mixed tribe version. She just kind of became the clear winner there. It was kind of weird. I don't know why. So when we compare her against Savannah, Savannah clearly does better than her up until the mid merge here. And then Sophie kind of overtakes her as the next best player than her. Obviously, if we look down here, it's even more stark. Sophie just has a much better win equity than Savannah, which is ironic because Savannah beat her in the final 2. So her pros.
Besides the true Riz god, Nicole,
she has the highest win percentage during the final tribal council. So good for her. Apparently, she dominates even more if she's in a different starting tribe, so that's also something. In real life, she won the final 4 immunity, and so she didn't even have to worry about fire making, which was one of her biggest detriments here, so.
Good for Sophie.
Her cons is that I would say she had the poorest pre-merge performance of this group overall. They all did a lot better than her in the pre-merge portion. She probably would have won more if it wasn't for the fire making. And then I'd say a con is that she didn't win in real life. Out of all the people who are in this category, she's the one that could have won.
And she didn't.
That's on her. The next person that the simulation believed should have won the game is Alex. So next we have Alex, also in the Kelly tribe. His actual placement was 9th place. His average placement was 5.905, and he won 28 times. The stats that I gave him great for physical and great for mental, and then I just gave him average for endurance. It was clear that he was pretty strong at challenges. I give him an above average stamina because I do think when comparing him to Jeremiah and Sophie, during that end time on the Kelly tribe, he seemed to be in the best spirits, so it seemed like he had a good amount of energy. I give him average social skills since I don't necessarily think that was his strength, but I do think that his calm temperament, and I think he was pretty good strategically. I think that's what he had going for him more. And I did give him an untrustworthy loyalty level because I think that was his undoing in the end, was that he was kind of playing the pot in too many areas, and so I think it's fair to give him that. So here is his placement breakdown. Keep in mind, this man's only in 4th place here, so it just gets crazier from here. I'm not gonna lie. And here is his percentage breakdown. So his mode was 1st and 2nd place, which he got 14% of the time for both of them. His median is 5, and his average placement is 5.905, ranking him 4th overall. He won 28 out of 74 times, ranking him 4th overall. And he has a 37.84% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks him 5th overall. He made the merge 87% of the time, ranking him 3rd overall, and he had a 42.53% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, and that ranks him 4th overall, which again is crazy that that's only the 4th place person. He had an 80.44% chance of surviving the fire making round, ranking him 9th overall, and at any given point he had a 6.218% chance of going home, ranking him 4th overall. Here's what it looks like when we compare his original tribe to a mix of tribes. Honestly, it does look like his original tribe did him better up until like 5th place, and then it all kind of equals out. When we compare him against Sophie, he does better than her for the most part. It's just this kind of 4th place spot where it's like he's a little bit in danger along with Sophie, but he's still doing quite well. So Alex's pros is that he makes the final tribal council over 1/3 of the time, which is crazy. He has a 40% chance of making the final tribal council if he makes the merge, which is also crazy. And he hardly gets voted out during the pre-merge. Good for you, Alex. The cons is that despite all that, he's still ranked 4th place overall. Like, he's good at getting to the end game, but not necessarily good at clutching out the win. Like, at least in comparison to the others, you know? The other con is that this performance was not reflected in real life.
He got 9th place.
We are now in our top 3, and if you are following along at home, you probably know who those top 3 are. But who's left in this category, and who do I think I'm biased towards? The next person is Steven. So in 3rd, we have Steven. His actual placement was 6th place, and he was on the Hina tribe. His average placement is 5.795, and he won a total of 31 times. As far as his stats go, I think he was very good at challenges, and so I gave him great for physical, endurance, and mental, and I also gave him an above average stamina. Just very energetic, happy-go-lucky the whole time. I gave him great social skills. It did seem like a lot of people just really liked him, especially like people who are on other tribes. I think he was the best at like interacting with a variety of people. And I gave him average temperament. I think he was mostly calm, but he did seem a little paranoid at the beginning of the game. So that's what I did. And then I gave him a great strategic ability, and I gave him untrustworthy for loyalty level because, again, kind of like Alex, he was good at playing with a bunch of different people. Here is his placement breakdown, and here's his percentage breakdown. His mode was 1st place, which he got 15.5% of the time. He won 31 out of 78 times, ranking him 2nd overall. He has a 39.74% chance of winning in the final 3, ranking him 4th overall. He has an 85% chance of making the merge, ranking him 4th overall. He has a 45.88% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, ranking him 3rd overall. He has an 81.25% chance of surviving the fire making round, ranking him 8th overall. And he has a 5.901% chance of getting voted out at any given stage, ranking him 3rd overall. When we compare his original tribe to his mixed tribes, honestly, it's pretty similar, but it does seem to suggest that after like the swap, he does a little bit better in a mixed tribe, maybe because he has different allies. I'm not quite sure, but overall, it has a pretty similar ending here. When we compare him to Sophie and Alex, he does seem to stay ahead of both of them for the most part, but he is like fairly similar to where Alex is at. It's like pretty neck and neck when it comes to the two of them. So I think it kind of comes down to more to like win equity with Steven as opposed to Alex when we're ranking the two of them. So his pros is that he makes the final tribal council almost 40% of the times, which is like a He has a decent win percentage for the final council, especially with how often he reaches it, and he's very unlikely to go home pre-merge. Despite all that, he's still ranked 3rd place, so it's not quite enough. And I would say, like, when looking at his data, there is like a little spike of danger in like the final 6. And in real life, that's where his end happened. So that's bad luck. And finally, our last contestant in It Was Their Game to Lose is MC. So in 2nd place, we have MC. Listen, I think this woman was so impressive challenge-wise, I just had to. I don't know. Her actual placement was 10th, and she was originally on the Hina tribe. Her average placement was 5.53, and she won 31 times. I had to put her physical at a beast. I mean, she seemed insane to me, like physically wise. I did put her endurance and mental at just average, but like, man, her physical was like good. So I put her stamina at above average, and I gave her average social skills and a very calm temperament. I gave her a great strategic ability, which, thinking about how she went home, maybe I'm overestimating her. Maybe it should be at average, but I think like when I was making my notes of how she was doing prior to that, I was impressed with how she was thinking, and so I gave her a great strategic ability. And then I gave her a trustworthy loyalty level. This is her placement breakdown. This is kind of crazy. And then this is her percentage breakdown. Her mode was 2nd place, which she got 21% of the time. Her median was 5, and her average placement was 5.53, ranking her 2nd. She won 31 times out of 82, ranking her 3rd overall, and she has a 37.81% chance of winning in the final 3, ranking her 6th overall. She made the merge 88% of the time, ranking her 2nd overall. She had a 46.59% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, ranking her 2nd overall. She has a 82.83% chance of surviving the fire making rounds, ranking her 7th overall. And she has a 5.624% chance of getting voted out during any given stage of the show, ranking her 2nd overall. Honestly, her OG versus mixed tribes are very similar. It's really just until we reach kind of this end game where, I mean, maybe the mixed tribes help her a little bit more just based off of allies, but it's honestly really similar throughout. And then when we compare her to the other 3, she does better than them in the pre-merge, does a little bit worse immediately after the merge, but not by like a significant degree. And then she kind of overtakes them in the final tribal council. She wins about the same as them, but she like gets there more often than them. I will also say that like her 2nd place placements as opposed to her 3rd placed ones are like significant. She gets 2nd place a lot. So her pros, super safe during the pre-merge. She literally makes the top 4 50% of the time, which is like, what? I don't know what else there is to say. And her con is that despite all that, she still is just ranked at 2nd place instead of 1st. And then I'd also just say that while she has a good amount of wins, the amount of 2nd places that she gets would be disappointing to me if I was her. It's like she's very much always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's not even like the 3rd placer where it's like, you know, you didn't really have a chance of winning. It's like she just kept kind of having a chance of winning and not quite getting there. It's disappointing. Now at this point, you probably know who the last person is, the My Bias tier. And frankly, I don't know what happened, but by a clear long shot, our number 1 player is Nate. So we finally have My Bias. I honestly can't tell like how he performed so well. I do like Nate. So, and this is kind of why I call it My Bias. Nate was my winner's pick when I watched the first episode. So I don't know if I'm just biased to like him. And so that reflected in my stats for him. I don't know. But he originally got 11th place. He was on the Uli tribe. His average placement here was 5.065, and he won 36 times. These were the stats I set for him. I gave him great for physical and mental, and average for endurance. I thought he was really good at challenges throughout. I couldn't fault him. Perhaps maybe if he had made it further into the merge, I could have seen how he was doing during like the individual immunity challenges, and so that might have changed my perception on some of these things, but I thought he was pretty solid. I gave him an average stamina because he is an older dude, so he's not quite as like chipper as these other guys, but I think he was holding his own. He seemed like a very social guy. I set him as great. I liked what he was saying about, you know, even though he doesn't really relate to these younger people, like he's still making effort to talk to them, and it seems like they were pretty receptive to that as well. And I gave him an always calm temperament. He seemed very level-headed. I thought his strategic abilities were pretty good, like he was making good choices, and I thought he was very trustworthy. I don't disagree with the things that I set up for him. Again, I think the only thing is maybe I'm overestimating him in the challenges, but I don't know. I don't know. And to be fair to me, it's like, you know, he was in that group with Rizzo and Savannah, and so, and the reason why he got targeted to begin with in the spot that he did was because they didn't think that they'd be able to get out Rizzo or Savannah because of Rizzo's idol, and so they chose to go after Nate, which was a little more left field, so that Rizzo would use his idol on either him or Savannah. And so, theoretically, I think if like they chose not to do that, Nate's in like a really prime spot to go just as far as Rizzo and Savannah did, obviously. So I don't think this is entirely unfair, but it's like, look at this. He never got out at 11th place, which is what he got out in real life. 200 times, didn't get a single 11th place placement. I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
I don't know.
And then here's his percentage breakdown. His mode was 2nd place, which he got 20% of the time. His median was 4 out of 18. His average placement is 5.065, which ranks him 1st overall. He won 36 times, which is 18% of the time, out of a total of 89 times in the final 3, which is 44.5% of the time. This ranks him 1st overall. He has a 40.45% chance of winning in the final 3, which ranks him 3rd overall. He made the merge 90% of the time, which ranks him 1st overall. He had a 49.44% chance of making the final 3 after making the merge, almost 50%, ranking him 1st overall. He had a 79.56% chance of surviving fire making, which ranks him 10th overall. And at any given time, he had a 5.072% chance of going home, ranking him 1st overall. It does seem like his original tribe helps him a little bit more than a mixed tribe. Again, I think that kind of makes sense because it's like him, Savannah, and Rizzo just had a good group with them. And if the other people had just played it differently, I think it's reasonable to think that they would have been one of the groups going to the final 3, you know? I don't know. And clearly when I compare him with all of the others, he just comes up ahead, like pretty significantly. I mean, not like too significantly when we look at like the very end, but significant enough. So really all I have to say is, for my pros is, I mean, is the answer not just everything? I guess fire making he didn't do like the best at, but like at that point doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And my con is that I feel like he did so good that I'm questioning whether or not I said it correctly. And also, this did not reflect real life. Hashtag full of regrets. So anyway, I think I'm gonna stop there because I fear that I've already done too much. I would be interested in doing this as for Survivor 50 before it airs. However, I have no clue how to set the stats of any of those people. So honestly, if you want to tell me how you would set the stats of the Survivor 50 people, I would love to know that. I feel like I could do it for Big Brother players, if I'm being honest. I know enough about any given player that I think I could do it. Survivor, I'm not quite as well versed with, and so I would need to research it a lot. you know? And then the other added caveat is how we haven't seen Jenna Lewis in like 20 years. I don't know how to judge that. So if you have any idea, if you're like a Survivor super fan and you would know how to rate these people, you can let me know, because the more I get, the less I have to research and the more likely I am to do this before Survivor 50 comes out. The other thing is I might just wait until after it comes out and just use what I see on the show. But yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you feel as if I did this objectively. Bye.